Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 5 a.m. Mester Scrum Show. This is where we're doing some interviews of people that work in the industry, work with agile folks and teams, and people that just want to share some things that may be of value to the listeners and viewers of our show. And this is about Amit Kumar, who is a manager of teams, development teams. He's done a couple things. And Amit, share a little bit about yourself.
So first of all, a very warm hello to all of your listeners. Um, like you said, I work as a manager of application development, managing few teams, been working in Agile for a while. Love the concept of Agile, and I try to use Agile by the core definition of the term Agile. So not just with what the Agile framework or the Agile methodology is, how people tend to use it. I try to go by the literal meaning of Agile, and if there is a way where I can fit this in with the team and the people that I'm working with,
Yeah.
if I have to bend a few rules here and there, um, then I'll go with it because if that works for the team, if that works for the people, I don't mind bending those rules.
Yeah. Sometimes I notice though they don't want to bend at all, and then you got to bend them. You're like,
Yeah.
okay, we got to try something. They're so scared to make change. And just so everyone knows, Amit and I have been, I say, crossing paths through our careers. There's a lot of people that you will meet in your lifetime that you're going to cross paths with, come back forth and stuff like that. So you always want to make good contacts with good people. And I would say Amit is a very good contact and good person to know. Um, so what do you like? So let's talk about your experience as manager of development teams. What can you get into some bad days or good days? What's a good day when you're a manager of development teams in there? What does that look like?
A good day.
A good day. What's a good day look like for you?
A good day for me would be where I don't get any call from my team saying we are stuck in an issue or we need someone to help with, where the team has already taken care of the obstacles.
Mm-hmm.
They collaborated, they worked together, um, or they were able to identify a potential obstacle that could happen in that sprint. So I like to work sprint by sprint, right, with my team. So
Yeah.
I'll always be talking in those, looking at those smaller milestones. So if they identify something that could become a potential roadblock or could be a potential pitfall for us,
Yeah.
and they took care of it, and I didn't have to worry about that. Basically, if I don't get any call from my team, I know everything's going good, and all I get to do is at the end of the day just look at the board, things are moving on. That for me is an ideal day.
Yeah. And I'll add, I think what you said, I like it when I see them handling issues on their own without coming to me.
Yeah,
Greg, how do you want to solve this
yeah,
problem?
yeah,
I'm like, you're all professionals. You're all grown-ups on that. You can figure it out. And then they figure it out themselves. And I'm like, they're getting it, how to work with each other, solve the problems.
yeah. And the reason I said that as an ideal day is A, where I'm working less.
Mm-hmm.
B, if I'm the smartest guy in the meeting and helping them drive, then I have done a bad job with setting up the right team.
Yeah.
C, I've my team feels confident enough that they can make decisions.
Yep.
They can open up, they can identify a problem, they can talk about a problem, and they also feel empowered enough to go and solve the problem.
Yeah,
Where
definitely.
if something went wrong, they don't have that fear that somebody's going to come and ask them, why did you do that?
Why'd you make that call? Why'd you
Yeah,
do that? Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
No,
So that's why that thing for me is an ideal day.
okay, cool. Yeah, I've been there, done that, had some PhDs, and I'm like, I am not the smartest person in the room. And if you want me to tell you what to do, then why am I hiring a PhD in the first place? Kind of things like that. So, with that said, of good days, what about those bad days? What would you like your teams to understand about your position? Because you're kind of in the middle, right?
Mhm.
You're managing the teams. You're also not the senior executive VP. You're in the middle there. what do you want them to understand about your role when it comes between the team and the high level executives, maybe stakeholders, stuff like that?
So I view my role, people who are in that mid-level management, right?
Mm-hmm.
Managers, senior managers, maybe directors somewhere. We are not at the big table. We're not
Mm-hmm.
playing at the high stake tables, right? We are not the
Right.
VPs. We are not the C-suite where we are involved in those critical decisions that are going to be money driven or strategy driven or whatever direction they want to move to.
Right.
We are not playing at that table. We are not playing at the table below where we are the ones doing the work. Like I need to go write a code to make sure the things are working to make a functionality, right?
Mm-hmm.
We are in that middle layer where we are managing up, we are managing down. We are acting as a filter for noise coming from up so people below can keep working.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, make sure that the and any issues that people at the ground level have, their concerns are spun up in a way where they are not neglected and they are heard and they're valued, right? So with that role, it becomes a good balancing act.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how to phrase it in a way where it's in my head. Um, let's come back to that in a
Okay.
few minutes where I have the right phrase to right way to phrase it for you.
Okay. So I was just thinking about this. I didn't give this as a question before, but I know that you kind of sometimes act as a scrum master slash product owner, and you've done it in multiple companies that you work for.
Yeah.
How was that working for you and not working? What would you kind of wish you could do, or how does that fitting?
Um,
Since I do an agile show, I got to ask a scrum type question.
no, it's a good question because in most of the teams I have worked in or where my friends are working in,
Mm-hmm.
you don't have the luxury of people doing one specific role,
Okay.
right? You're always trying um, to either have an overlap of positions where one person is putting on multiple hats to do it. So that's everywhere. So you have to walk around. That's why I said I like to bend the rules wherever I can to
Right.
be flexible for the team and work there.
But is that ideal?
Is it ideal? No.
Yeah.
But there is always a difference between an ideal world and a real world.
Okay.
So in reality, in a real world, you have to do it. There's no getting around the fact there where there are times where I have to help the QA team or I have to help the dev team go take care of wherever I can help them. Maybe some
Mm-hmm.
analysis, maybe a short query somewhere, or maybe a short piece of code which I can go maybe design something for them. So you have to. I see myself as someone you place it to fill a hole for a
Mm-hmm.
temporary basis or sort of an ER nurse, right?
Right.
I go put a band-aid somewhere so the bleeding is stopped by the time my surgeons and specialists can come in and then take care of the things. Or
Okay.
maybe I can do an initial analysis for them. And this is me giving an example of what I do in a
Right.
team. Same way I have people in my team who are playing multiple roles at different times to fill the role or to do the work that's needed for the team to keep moving forward. Because at the end of the day, there is a work that has to be delivered.
Mm-hmm.
There's a team that needs to be led, and there's a team that's working hard to deliver the work.
Yeah.
So how you get the best of all the pieces together and make that complete picture, there's no set um, rule for that. So you always have to see what's going on and then play around.
Okay. Cool. Um, I noticed a couple of years back, or you decided to switch companies. What were you looking for that you could not find in your old position that made you look around or incur and made you curious? Let's just say, what were you missing?
Um, I like to be challenged,
Mm-hmm.
and I like to be working in a place or on a project where something's going to wake me up at 2 in the morning and say, I miss doing that. Or when I'm taking a shower and a cold water falls on my head, some window opens up and say, this is what I'm missing. This is what I need to go and try.
I'll say I don't miss the 2 a.m. thing. I'm good. You don't have to call me at 2 a.m.
Um, and sometimes when you are there at a place for a long time and you keep doing the same thing, and it becomes more of you get into a comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt I was in a comfort zone. I was looking for more challenges, something new to be
Mm-hmm.
to keep myself motivated, keep working, keep growing. I want to grow. I'm an ambitious person. I want to grow.
Yeah.
Keep growing, keep doing something new, something more challenging. But that's not always what's going to be fit for the other side as well, right? There's me as an employee who's working there, and there is an employer who has me working there. So it has to work for both. It can't just be everything going my way or everything going the other side.
Yeah.
So you need to have that healthy balance. I just felt that over there that balance was not come where we both could not come in the middle somewhere. So
Yeah. Yeah. I just I didn't know if you were gonna say like money. Years ago when I was really young, my father was a VP engineer, civil engineer, and he was telling me how he had one engineer come to him and say, I would like to earn X amount of dollars, which was way more than they were pricing them out on the jobs. And my father was honest with him. It says, your position is priced out at this rate.
Yeah.
I says, you want this rate. It says, I can't do that. But if you find a place you want to go to, he's like, I'm more than happy to write you a recommendation. If you can find a place that'll pay what you want, go for it. So sometimes that dwells in there too. They think they want to get to the next level, but there really isn't no openings at the next level. And sometimes, so I was curious if that was one of the
no,
things.
I mean, again, I'm no saint either, right? We all want money. We want money is never enough, right? There was a stage in life when I was young, coming up, trying to gain experience, and oh, my friend got moved around. He got a new job. He got a high raise. All right, let me do the same things. So there was a time and did that. Now, working 19, 20 years, you tend to get away from that, and you see more at where you want to get into a good place where you're working. You have good work that keeps you challenging, keeps you motivated, and you want to go back to work the next day.
Yeah, you want that challenge, that interest, which you can span your thoughts. On similar to that, what strategies would you recommend or give a couple little, because we do a practical and tactical, and I was always like, you got any practical or tactical advice for managing an agile team or semi-agile team? Let's just put it that way. Sometimes they're not completely agile, but or completely Scrum team. Do you have any practical advice as far as that goes for managing those types of teams?
I can share my experience. Is it an advice? I don't know. So my last two projects or the last two places that I worked or my last two teams, we were sort of getting into agile. And prior to that, I had worked for almost 5-6 years where I was in hardcore, fully agile team where I had business stakeholders sitting with me during the refining session, business stakeholders sitting with me during sprint planning. I worked at a place where we had a sprint planning on Wednesday. So in the morning, we were doing a sprint planning. In the afternoon, the whole team was taken out for lunch by the product owner.
Okay.
And in the evening, we are sitting together doing refining. And the product owner is there doing the refining.
Right.
Yeah, we split the day into two parts. By 3:34, we're all done with our ceremonies for that sprint. We, instead of having a weekly, we did that on a Wednesday. We used to have 3-week sprints.
Okay.
3:34, everybody's done. All right, let's play ping pong. You want to do something else in the entertainment area. Relax. All right, get ready for the sprint and you go home, right? So coming from there, where I get into the new place, and the first thing I get asked by the HR is, "Oh, I see agile on your resume."
Yeah.
And we have been our CIO is moving towards agile, and he said we want to go in agile with small a.
Small a.
Small a.
I still haven't figured out what small A and big A is. I
that
think
was the
they
first
just,
time that's the
yeah,
first time I'd heard agile is
yeah,
small a. To me, either you're
yeah,
agile or you're fragile.
yeah,
You can't be both. So
yeah.
those are experiences when you start there, and
Mm-hmm.
how you share your experience, what you have learned, and how you keep learning on the project.
Mm-hmm.
You're working with team. That's why I said that agile. I took the term literally because I could have come back and said, I've worked in agile. This is how we do it. This is the framework. This is the methodology. We're going to do this. But it would be too much too soon, and sort of enforcing yourself on the team, not letting them take in and absorb what agile provides you, how the benefit is, and how it won't motivate them to take it in. It will be more of you enforcing them on the team.
Right.
So started in a more lighter approach where let's take let's keep the structure in place
Mm-hmm.
where, right, we are going to do the sprint planning. We work
Yeah.
in those 3 week sprints, try to break the work down. So always go with that breaking the work down approach first,
Mm-hmm.
because that always helps
Yeah.
you. If you want to control the scope, you want to
Mm-hmm.
deliver the work, you want
Right.
to keep the price in check. I feel all of those are best accomplished by breaking the work into smaller pieces.
Yep.
You have more
Totally
control
agree.
on the work. You know what you have to do. You know when you have to stop, or
Yep.
when you have to pivot back. So it all becomes smaller things are easier to manage
Yeah.
than a big one. So start with that. Start with that structure. If you can get that in place, you motivate or get the team in the habit of thinking how I can break this work into a smaller module that I can easily work on and
Yeah.
deliver. Then you can play around and build your whole agile thing. Then you can start making your backlog, do your refining, bring your stakeholders in, do your sprint reviews. You can do all
Right.
of those good things. But if you can start with that one small thing of how you can break this work, and
Mm-hmm.
let's take a smaller piece of work, smaller chunk, work on it.
Right.
Maybe I would have a developer not write code for 8 hours a day. He or she would be working 4 hours, and he or she would be collaborating with somebody else for those 4 hours, helping them complete their work.
Right.
To me, that's the productive day. And then you
How,
deliver it.
how does that go over with um, managers and old school wise, where you tell them, I'm not having them code all day long. They're going to code, they're going to partner, and they're going to share, and they're going to do more of the T shaped learning,
Yeah.
cross model. How's that go? Good, bad,
It's
as
it's
it days.
let's just say it's a challenge.
This is a challenge.
It's a challenge. And you hope that by the end of certain point in time, that they see the value that they're getting.
Mm-hmm.
That you went with the prior approach. Oh, I want everybody typing
Yeah.
for 8 hours a day. If you're not typing the code, if you're not been hitting the keyboard for 8 hours, you're not productive.
Mm-hmm.
To Yeah, I was working for 4 or 5 hours, I was writing the code, but I spent the rest 3 hours collaborating with A, B, and C, and I helped A finish his work. I helped B finish her use case, and I helped C write their test cases. So in a productive day, we actually got more done than me just working um, in a silo in front
Yeah.
of my laptop in a dark room and writing my code.
And everyone has a higher quality level of work too, because
Correct.
you're getting different viewpoints on how they do it and pieces that make it a little better. So that's awesome. Um, so what are keys to motivating your team? What's your favorite way of doing this lately? Like if you had to motivate
So,
your team,
mhm.
what's a good way? What is something you might do?
Food always helps.
Food, yes.
Food always
Food,
helps. You take them out for lunch, or you get some snacks for them. Food always helps.
okay,
Um, Other thing that helps is a transparent communication. What I have seen is
yeah,
where I started with teams which were not agile, and especially post COVID when people are working from
yeah,
home and you don't interact that much with people. So
mm-hmm,
you are no longer working with a work friend or making work friends,
right,
or collaborating with people. You're working with a monitor,
mm-hmm,
right? There's a face if you're lucky. If not, you're talking to a blank screen,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Somebody is behind the screen. I don't know who you are.
yeah,
I have not seen your face for years.
mm-hmm,
If you happen to switch job like I did, then you might not even see their face for I don't know how long. So you just have a voice and a black screen to talk to. So when those things happen, and if you be transparent with those people and explain to them your point of view, I think that also helps the team, where they might not agree with you 100%,
right?
But at least on a few occasions, they'll start seeing what the other side is.
Okay.
And that then helps them see, all right, I've been working in my way. If I do more collaboration, or if I work in a different way, it might be more helpful. And when we see that those small things coming in and gaining in a delivery, a work delivery, a task delivery, right, that motivates them, because nothing works best than seeing that you work in something and it's actually working and delivered.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I'm a big done thing. I'm working on something, like, don't you feel much better when it gets off your plate and it's done and you're moving? Because I feel so much more refreshed. And I think a lot of teams I've coached in the past are like that too. Once they get stuff done and they get to try something new, they're more excited, more energized, more, energetic on the next thing. Oh, let me get another one. Give me another one. Let me get it done. So how have you helped the team in the past that you're really proud of? Give an example of something that you did from a team perspective, managing the team, not from what you did personally from a coding perspective, but interacted, managed the team, take the role like you're in, that really made you proud of what you did. Like if you would put that on your resume, ta-da, or you show that off in an interview kind of type thing.
I don't put on my resume, but when somebody asks a question, I do try to use that as an example. In my last team, I had 2 senior resources, dev resources, and I had 1 senior QA resource.
Yeah.
So they were my holy trinity. My team was built around those 3. And then I had other people in the team. I had an onshore, offshore model. I had both the dev resources, QA resources offshore.
Yep.
And then I had these 3 people here. So I believe they worked with me for almost 4 or 5 years. I believe the dev resources have been with me for almost 6 years.
Yeah.
So they were 3 were the oldest team members, and around them is where I built my team on what their strengths are, who can come and complement their weaknesses. So I can work around them and keep building the team around them. Because the way I always see a team is, and this is when even I was working as a developer, I was coming up, gaining experience, that in a typical 6-7 people team, you have 1 or 2 people who basically drive the team.
Yeah.
They are the brains of the team. Then you would have 1 or 2 people who are going to be good at taking the direction and then keep working on them, right?
Yeah.
And you always have 1 or 2 in the team who are not the strongest resources. They would bring something else to the team. They might be good at motivating the team. They might be the glue that keeps the team together, just to keep a light. And they might not be the sharpest coder in the team,
right?
But they'll bring their own values to the team. So that's how I view a 6 or 7 people team as.
Okay.
By the time I left, at least for the last 7-8 months, I didn't have to worry about any requirement sessions meetings going on, any design meetings going on. I didn't have to worry about what the test cases are that needs to be discussed with the stakeholders, what the results are, what the QA timelines are. These 3 were taking care of things. And I was basically sitting in a meeting and saying, yeah, good. Yep, it's done.
So you really had a self-organizing team.
It was a self-organizing team. Yeah. By the end, those 3 were running the show for me. I didn't have to worry about anything. I could focus on doing things that I wanted to do, which I couldn't do in my role because I had those specific responsibilities. Now, because they are taking care of that, now I can broaden my horizon and start looking at something else.
And you didn't have anybody on the team complaining about those 3, right?
No.
So they had a good working relationship. So it wasn't that the 3 people took over and dictated what everyone should do, right? It's not a dictation type thing. Yeah.
Correct.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah, I had one of my I could always tell stories, but as you know, I had my favorite ones are usually QA people When I develop an agile team to work really well, where the QA and the dev are working really tight, everyone has always come back to me years later after, or they went back to the old way they were working. They all tell me, Greg, I miss those days where QA, everybody wants to split them apart. This is QA over here. This is dev over here.
I don't get that. To me, QA resources and the dev resources, to me, it's a dev team. That dev team consists of people who are writing code to do programming or whatever you're doing that. And there are resources who are testing the code, right? To me, that's a dev team.
Yeah.
And these dev resources and QA resources are like husband and wife.
Yeah.
They can't live without each other. They can't live with each other.
Yeah.
So you need them working in harmony, in sync.
I like that description. That's actually pretty good. I never heard of that one before, but that's a new one. You know what? I think it does. You need each other to really grow as a family, to grow as a team. And if you try to split them apart, it will just actually implode, you know?
You will never get a QA resource who is not complaining that the dev resource are not giving them the right information.
Yeah.
Or they don't have enough details from the dev team.
Yeah.
And you will never find a developer who doesn't come back and say, the QA resource does not know what he or she is testing. I have to help them. So that's why I said they are like a couple. They are working together. They have to work together, and they can't live without each other.
And I find the more you get them to work together, the better in the long term. They start knowing each other. Just like that's funny. This is a great analogy. The husband, wife, whatever, the spouse, the significant other, you can almost answer each other's questions.
Yeah.
You know exactly what they're thinking. I mean, you could totally disagree with it, but you kind of know where they're heading. And if you're testing something, you kind of understand how they put it together. And when you get responses back from the QA, you kind of know why they're asking that question. Yeah, I forgot about that. Right. So cool. That's actually really, I don't think that's ever been said before. I love it. That's a great one. So speaking of continuous learning, and you kind of mentioned about you like the challenges. So now you're an adjunct professor at Villanova. So we got a fancy title now. He's a professor, everyone,
Not the money heist one.
No, not yet. They probably pay you nothing to just you just go for name alone. You're looking for status. So how did this come about, and what brought you into that role?
So I was doing my MBA, and I initially wanted to do my MBA in healthcare as the specialization, but then shifted focus, got more interested in cybersecurity as I had a good team that could take care of the work, so I could work on different side of work. So it got involved with cybersecurity, got interested in that. So I thought, let me go ahead and do some more learning on that side. So that's how I got into that's how I did my cybersecurity specialization for my MBA. The professor who was teaching me secure software development, and he had one more class with me. So this is what my bread and butter is: software development,
right?
And security added to the mix. So that class was very nice for me, but I could provide a lot of input, a lot of practical real life examples of how things work.
Okay.
So at the end, I asked the professor at the end of the class that if you ever need me with any of your new classes or with your undergrad students where they need certain help or they need guidance, feel free to reach out to me. I loved my time at the university. I did my MBA from Villanova University.
Right.
I loved my time here, and I'd be more than happy to give back something to the university. I'd love to do that. The professor then took it a step further, went ahead and talked to the dean, and said, why don't you come in and start teaching? I'm like, I've never done this before. Like, no, you will be good. So that's how the whole conversation started, and then here I am.
So you got the challenge. So now you're kind of getting a challenge, different thing. You're at that where you're sharing. So now you know why I do the show. But basically, that's pretty cool. That's a great way. But you offered that, right? So you're continuously learning. So now you're continuously learning how to be a professor, how to teach, how to deal with adult learning and all that kind of stuff too. Now, are you teaching adults mostly, or is it also regular school, college level?
So right now I'm teaching the undergrad students.
Oh, undergrad. Oh, even better. Okay. Okay. Cool. I hope you're enjoying it.
Yeah, I've had one semester under my belt. This is the second one.
Okay.
And so far loving it.
Okay, good.
I just hope the kids are loving that too. It's just not me.
Yeah, it's fun that way.
Yeah.
So now it says on your LinkedIn profile, right? You're an MBA cybersecurity specialist, okay? And in there, so one and maybe we in the future we can do a show where we talk about how does security work with an agile team, because I'll be honest with you, when I see these big companies, they separate cybersecurity away from the Scrum teams, and I have a whole philosophy on that. But I would love to hear from you as someone who worked with the dev teams, now is teaching cybersecurity. I mean, so you're now getting into that game. How could, or you see, we can be a better job of integrating the agile teams, development teams with cybersecurity? Any thoughts, tips?
I think cybersecurity topic is such a wide topic. It would be very hard to cover here in this one. Maybe we could, like you said, we could have a secondary conversation. I would answer
we might even do a meetup, because that might be a good meetup where you'll get all these people from different angles that ask you questions, because I know they've all been hit with the security.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I look at your question, and I would answer your question in two parts. Okay. That's how I see this. So your first part was about teaching at the university, right? Cybersecurity with people who are going to the future, right? They're coming in. So I always make a statement in my class that they just can't rely on the books. Because, so let's say whatever the trend today is, let's take AI, right? Someone writing a book on AI today, on 26th January right now, or whatever the date is, I don't even know what it is. So their knowledge right now is based on what they know today. They'll take 4 to 5 months to write a book. It goes through the whole publishing process. Somebody's going to proofread it. And so by the time it comes out in the market, in somebody's hand, it's going to be 7 to 8 months. In that 7 to 8 months, that's the book then someone's going to start reading in school or in college. You're already 7 months behind. The technology has moved on. So what I tell my students in the class is try to be as current with what's going on as you can.
Right.
Go read the blogs, go read what side is the wind blowing. And then I also try to help them not just from someone who's going to come and maintain an application on the cybersecurity side, also as a consumer of that, how you can keep yourself safe.
Good.
So that's from the teaching side.
Okay.
When I answer your question as a manager of app development, where I have to now secure my applications. And I know why you said that you have a preset thing in concept in mind on how teams and companies focus on this and why it's not part of the sprint.
Right.
If you look at it, most of the companies, right, most of the organizations, they didn't have that focus on cybersecurity until 3, 4, 5 years back.
Yeah, it's true.
That was not they were not that focused.
Right.
And every company, every big company, small company is now relying on a digital platform or an IT-based solution to carry out their business.
Right.
Those applications are not just written in the last 4 or 5 years. Those applications have been in business for a long time. Right. That's why every company has a big a tech dev backlog or a IT proactive mean, whatever you want to call it, different company, different terms. But at the end of the day, you have a bunch of legacy applications that you're carrying with you because they're crucial to your business and you have to update them. Now, something that you're building right now, it's easier to get into it and say, all right, we're going to add some security tools in our DevOps pipeline, or we're going to bring in some automated products that's going to help us write secure code. We can do a lot more testing, a lot more static testing, dynamic testing. You can fit that in a sprint for the work that you're doing brand new. It's easier to do that way. You're working on it. You can test it. If your code doesn't pass, the DevOps pipeline will fail and you go back and fix the security vulnerabilities and you release the code. All good. Very nice. But those legacy applications, which are sitting there for years, those are already built in. Yeah. Any change that happens there, you have to do a thorough analysis of what the change is, which areas am I going to change, and what's the impact? What is my dev impact? What is my QA impact? And do do I is that legacy framework still supported where I can go and make those changes? Or is that framework that old that it's no longer even supported by the vendor who created the framework?
Right.
So how many security vulnerabilities or gaps can I go and fill in? So it becomes a bigger conversation on dealing with those legacy applications. And every company has those. Every company is driving that big, heavy pile of legacy applications or legacy framework or whatever you call them, things that are pre-built that you want to introduce security in. So building something new from scratch, you start the first floor, you can incorporate the right thing. But when you already have a building built in, going and making it secure, it's always going to be tough. So that's what that is the biggest challenge every company has.
Yeah. I'll just throw in my little, and I love the way you describe that because it's so true. One of the things that I think, kind of like we talk about QA and dev, and then there's security and there's DevOps and so on. And I go, well, there should be more conversation. I would love to have more where, okay, security people, help teach the dev teams to better understand what you need to do your job so it doesn't go off there for a month for you to test it. Help them prep it so that your time using it or testing it or validating whatever is smaller. Just don't get, anytime someone would drop something on me that I had no idea what it's, of course it's going to take longer. Build that little bit of relation. I can go on more, and we'll definitely have a security discussion from an agile perspective, because I think it's needed in the world, to be honest with you. I think it's still a security and an agile and a DevOps. I think or QA even. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, the other piece there is when you look at those older applications, if you do a thorough analysis of them, and I've done for a few projects and few applications, you look at good amount of work to go make them change, to make those changes, and then QA them, release them. And if someone's working on it in a 2-week sprint or a 3-week sprint, that changing that one piece itself is a good amount of work. And sometimes it becomes practically impossible to break it down to such a small piece that you can do in 3 weeks, dev, test, and deliver, because those legacy applications or the older ones, they have their claws everywhere. Some might be a monolithic application. Some might be an older application, which is maybe an API that's been consumed by a lot of places. So I can make this change in the sprint. I can go ahead and make this. Or how do we finish the testing of all of those pieces? So that becomes a challenge. Or it becomes challenging where we have a team of these many ex-developers and QA resources. We have new business coming in. We have new business requirements, right? We want this new shiny enhancement coming in. We want to get this done and get in the market. All right. So in a 3-week sprint, you have X number of resources. Do you want them focusing on this or focusing on that? 99.9% of the time, let's go work on this new enhancement, this new functionality, because it's going to bring in more revenue. Let's do this first. We'll come back to the security piece. And that's where then the security guys start beating the drums. When will this be done then? You're writing more code. You're going to write more code. You're going to keep on increasing the backlog there. When are you going to work on it? So it becomes a very, very good conversation and very uncomfortable situation to handle both. So that's what I say. It's a longer conversation.
It gets into your definition done, right? What's your definition done? How much security do you put in there? And if you do pointing or sizing stuff, I used to, at one company, was like, they're like, we're getting really good at it. But you know what? Don't be playing with the points yet, because we got to throw in documentation. And they weren't doing documentation. Like, so you might up the points on the complexity of what you have to do, but you're not doing as many stories in that process. You're doing the same number of points because it's now more complex than what you were basing everything on. But now you're just doing less number of stories, but they're more quality based. So great. Well, Amit, it's been great having you on here. I think you're going to open people's eyes to that a couple of different areas, everything from being that manager / Scrum Master / product owner, between the higher level executives and the board and the teams and also from your cybersecurity. I think you open up a lot of different avenues, and definitely I want to invite you to do another show and even one of our meetups to talk about cybersecurity and IT teams and stuff. Maybe we even ask you about managers. I don't know. We can have you for 2 different topics. I think it'll be good. So I hope you'll show up for that.
Absolutely. It was good fun. And I think next time when we talk, we'll definitely get back to the question which I skipped at the beginning. And forgot what the question was, but I said I'll come back to it later, where I was missing the right way to phrase my answer. But we'll do that
We'll
later.
figure it out.
Yeah.
I think there's enough meat on here. We only do a little bit. Not take everyone's time. So I think it was perfect. And with that, I want to say thank you very much. We're going to do more stuff with the 5 a.m. Mester Scrum Show, more interviews, more meetups. Sign up for the meetup and everything, and you'll get news on that. Thank you, Amit, and you have a great day.
You as well, man.
All right.